Okay, so today I'm going to show you what exactly is this term Neecha Banga Raja Yoga. Okay, this chart, it is pretty much for people who are not familiar with Vedic astrology. This this lesson is going to be on how when your weak planet, your delineated planet, suddenly becomes strong in your chart. Even though they're in a weak position, they're actually becoming more stronger than an excelled planet. And Neech means delineated, like weak. Bhang means extinction of that delineation. So extinction of that weakness. And Raj Yoga means that positive, kingly yoga, like it's a kingly planet. So from a beggar, a planet becomes a king in a chart, and how that actually happens. Now here's a Vedic astrology chart, okay? And this is your first house, the ascendant. This is always the first house, and the houses move in the counterclockwise. So this is the number 5 that you see is obviously the 5th sign of the zodiac, which is Leo, and then the next one is Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. Okay, so the houses are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 houses and 12 zodiac sign. Okay, so if you want to know exactly how this chart works, go to my lesson 1 in astrology. Okay, that will help you a lot on this thing. Okay, so let's talk about Neecha Banga. The delineated planets. Which planets are weak in this chart? Okay, so if you do not know that, in my book I explain this, and also you can find out on Google weak and strong planets. So in this chart, Sun, Venus are weak. They're delineated. They're in their lowest point, because Sun becomes weak in Libra and Venus becomes weak in Virgo. Okay, but this chart, in this chart, these two planets are actually becoming the most powerful planets, even better than the excelled moon, even better than Saturn, okay, and even better than Mars. The two weak planets are actually becoming very, very kingly. How is that happening? Okay, just by looking at this main birth chart, okay. Okay, because you can also have this kingly yoga through divisional charts, but I'm going to actually show you just from the birth charts. In this birth chart, the way a weak planet loses its weakness, its delineation, is when the lord of a sign where this planet is excelled is strong. So remember, Sun is excelled in Aries, okay, while it's in the completely opposite sign. But look who's the lord of this sign of Aries. It's Mars. And guess what? Mars is actually in its own sign also, because Mars rules Scorpio as well. So what Mars is doing by being in his own sign, okay, while Sun is excelled in his sign, yet it's weak, Mars is canceling Sun's weakness. Okay? So if Mars, let's say, was in Aries, again, Mars would be canceling Sun's delineation. If Mars was in the 6th house, because Mars is excelled in Capricorn, okay, then again, Mars would be canceling Sun's delineation, because the Lord, the sign in which Saturn becomes excelled, its Lord, Mars, is powerful in his own sign and is powerful when excelled. So when it's excelled, it's canceling Sun's weakness. Okay? Now next one is Venus. Okay? How is Venus becoming kingly? Okay, so first we gotta see where Venus is excelled. Venus is excelled in Pisces, directly opposite. Okay? Now, where's Moon located? Moon is in the sign of Taurus, and Moon in Taurus is excelled. And guess who rules the sign of Taurus? It's Venus. Okay? So when a planet is becoming excelled in a sign which is ruled by a planet which is weak in its deviated position, this planet is lifting Venus into exhalation, into the most, even beyond exhalation. So because the moon is excelled in the sign of Venus, it's taking itself and Venus out of delibeation. So this is what's called Neecha Banga Raja Yoga. Okay? So this is one type of Neecha Banga Raja Yoga. And let me see if I can show you another one. Okay, let me show you another example quickly of Neecha Banga. This time we have a Virgo rising. Okay? And as you see, Mercury is already excelled. It's in Virgo. Mercury is excelled in Virgo. Jupiter is strong because it's in its own sign in 7th house in Pisces. Okay? But if you want to talk about what's another way a sun can lose its delibeation and become a Neecha Banga Raja Yoga, it can also happen. Okay, see how sun is weak in the second house? Sun is in Libra. It's delibeated. It's at its weakest position. And especially when sun is at 10 degrees Libra, it's at its weakest position. Now, look at this. The Lord of the sign where sun is weak, that Lord is placed with sun in its own sign, because Venus rules Libra. And since Venus rules Libra and it's sitting with a delibeated weak sun, it's also uplifting sun towards exhalation. Okay? It is giving it a boost, because when sun is sitting with the Lord of its own house, sun is being excelled. Now let me show you another example. Okay? So let's say we take Venus out from here. Okay? So let's say if I'm gonna have to arrange this chart. Okay, so let me show you another example of a different chart this time for Neecha Banga Raja Yoga. Okay? So again, we have a Virgo ascendant, but this time the planetary movements have changed. This is a completely different chart. So let's say in this chart, which planet is delibeated? Which planet sits at its weakest position? That would be Jupiter, because Jupiter is excelled in directly the opposite sign, Cancer, and it's sitting in Capricorn. Okay? So is a Neecha Banga occurring for Jupiter? Let's see. Since Jupiter is excelled in Cancer, who's the Lord of Cancer? It's Moon. Let's see if Moon's position is strong to see if it's doing the Neecha Banga. Moon is sitting in Scorpio in the 3rd house with Venus. Moon is also delibeated. Moon is also called Neech. It's at its weakest position. Also, Venus is also in this bad sign as well. But mainly Moon is weak too, the Lord of where Jupiter would be excelled. So Moon is not helping Jupiter at all. Now let's see how else it's getting a Neecha Banga. Jupiter is delibeated in Capricorn. Who's the Lord of Capricorn? Saturn. Let's see where Saturn is sitting. Saturn is sitting in Libra in the 2nd house. It's excelled. Okay? So the Lord of the sign where a particular planet, like Jupiter or any planet that is weak, if Lord of that sign, delibeated sign, is excelled, then again Jupiter is becoming excelled. Jupiter is becoming strong, because Saturn's position is lifting Jupiter. So this is another method of deliberate Neecha Banga. Okay, quickly let me show you another example of Neecha Banga Raja Yoga. See, I'm just I keep getting all these other examples in my head. So we're gonna go with the same scenario, same chart. Okay. Now, as we were looking at delibeation of Jupiter, okay, and I told you since the Lord of where Jupiter is delibeated, if the Lord is excelled, it's uplifting Jupiter. But here's another one that does the Neecha Banga. Mars is sitting with a delibeated Jupiter, but guess what? Mars is excelled in Capricorn. And when a planet is excelled in a certain sign where a certain planet is delineated and they're both in a conjunction in that same sign, then the Neecha Banga occurs, because Mars is uplifting Jupiter to exhalation. Okay? So this is another way of looking at Neecha Banga. Okay, looking at the same chart, this time I moved Jupiter to the 6th house. Let's say this is a completely different chart of somebody else. Okay, where his moon is delineated, that's it. Only his moon is delineated. So now, what's another way the cancellation of a delimitation of a planet takes place? That is, if Lord of where the moon, in the sign of which moon is delineated, if a Lord of this sign is in Kendra. Kendra are these inner plates. Okay? So Kendra from either the ascendant or Kendra from the moon. Okay? So if Mars is in 1st, 4th, 7th or 10th place from the ascendant, and wherever the moon is, then Mars is cancelling the delimitation. Also, if Mars is in 1st, 4th, 7th or 10th position from the moon. So let's say if Mars was here. If let's say Mars was here in the 7th house. Okay? It's not, Mars is in Taurus, so it's not really weak or strong, it's just neutral. But guess what? Mars is 7th from the moon. It's in Kendra from the moon. That means it is creating that Neecha Banga. See, these inner plates, these 4 inner plates are the Kendra, and then you have the outer houses here. Okay, so hopefully this helps. Now, here's another way that Neecha Banga Raja Yoga works. The cancellation of a deliberated planet. Now this chart that I made, this is a divisional chart in Vedic Astrology of the same person's birth chart. Okay, it's called the D9 chart, called Neecha. Okay, this chart that I drew. It is just a surgical part. It's a, how can I say this? It's a detailed analysis of the main birth chart that we saw earlier on in this video. So if you want to scroll back to the video, just look at how the planets were. Remember, earlier on we had a Leo rising with Venus in the 2nd house, Sun here in the 3rd house, Mars and Mercury here in the 4th house, and then Jupiter and Saturn were here, and then Moon was there, while Ketu was there, Rahu was there. Okay, so what this chart is a surgically opening up the 9th house of the birth chart. Like, let's say if this was, if you go back to the video, to that Leo rising, if you look at the 9th house of that chart, what simply Vedic Astrology does, it opens up this chart. Like here's here's the like a jacket, what do you call, just think of this, that Vedic Astrology cuts this up. Okay, let me make this easier for you. Cuts this up, opens this up, they surgically open it up, and when they open it and look inside it, they see a detailed analysis of this person's fortune, his 2nd half of life, his married life. Okay, so in this chart, in this divisional chart, let's say if Sun was excelled. Okay, let's say if Sun was excelled, and while in the main birth chart Sun was weak, being in the sign of Libra, guess what? This Sun being in excelled position is cancelling that weak Sun in the 9th divisional chart. Okay, so that's what happens. Now our Venus was there in the 6th house, weak and deliberated. So let's say if I remove this Venus from here and I put Venus here, okay, in the 6th house but in the sign of Pisces, guess what? In Neecha chart, Venus is also cancelling the main birth chart Venus. It's giving it a Neecha Banga Raja Yoga. So this is a bit more complicated. It gets easier, I explain it better in my book. But this is just this is a analysis of a person's particular part of life when you surgically open a particular house. So divisional chart are very important in astrology.